Welcome to Storytime at the Rubus, a weekly podcast about the Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival. I'm your host, Charlotte.
And I'm Daniel, and Charlotte, it is feeling like we are kind of kicking into the real rumor season. We're going to talk about this in a moment, but it felt like things really started taking off this past week.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's Roo season.
Yeah.
I don't think it's rumor season. I think it's Roo season.
It's Roo season? Well, we're like 7 months away, though, right?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Well,
all year's Roo season to me. I mean,
that's true.
Stop. I keep going.
I mean, look at all of the stuff in our house. It's definitely Roo season around here.
I think for people in our group and our network of friends, it's all year long. It doesn't stop. Can't stop, won't stop.
It really is, and that's very true. But I feel like right now is kind of like one of the prime parts of the off season because like we're really getting into hardcore rumor season, and it's going to be roughly 2 months from now. Maybe give it a few more days when we get the lineup poster. But it's about to get wild. If what we are hearing now is any indication, it sounds like we should know a fair bit. You know, maybe like around Christmas time or whatever. We do know that a lot is booked already. We know that a lot of names are being thrown around. If you know where to look, you're going to find them. This is starting to sound like it's going to be very promising. First of all, we should give a plug to the What podcast because they have Brad and Corey on this week to talk about a lot of things. You should go listen to them. We plan to have them on next week. We have a scheduled time of this coming Monday to talk with them. So we hope to talk with them about a lot of things that they don't talk about on the What podcast. We're going to approach it more from like a campsite perspective. So from like more of a customer's perspective.
A community aspect.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, you know where to find me and Charla. Hit us up on the Discord if there's anything in particular you want to talk with those guys about.
Put your questions on our Discord.
Yeah.
And you can find our Discord link in any of our social media. Just go hit the link at the top.
Yeah. All right, Charla, we'll get into that in a moment. But first of all, how have you been doing?
I'm great. How about you?
I can't complain. You and I are kind of taking November to chill out a little bit because we've both been busy with our day jobs and it's about to get wild.
Man, you are. I'm not. I keep going. So
yeah, I mean, I can tell you guys all about that all day about what's going on at my day job because it's a hell of a lot of fun. But we will have a lot going on next year. Me and you are trying to make some New Year's plans. We're kind of thinking about going to the Old Crow thing at the Ryman. You think we should go?
So that's always been a bucket list for me. So I think we might do it this year.
Yeah, you know, we've seen them how many times? Probably getting close to 20 at this point, right?
I don't know if it's that many, but at least I would say 14.
Yeah, but the New Year show has always been a bucket list thing, right?
Yeah, and we've always never been able to go because we're doing some party. We're doing some friends thing for New Year's. So
or
I feel
I'm DJing or something.
Yeah, you're DJing, doing like a friends thing. So I feel like we should try to do it this year before we make any plans with it.
So
here in
let's book it now,
yeah.
So we have an excuse like, oh no, sorry, we're doing something already. I think that sounds like a good plan.
You said that like you're trying to get out of something.
There is nothing planned right now that I know of, but yes, I'm trying to get out of the things that I don't even know about yet, because I know something may come up. I mean, I do love the DJ stuff,
You're
but
like that,
I would rather go.
No, you're like that meme of that lady who's like, sorry, can't tonight, have plans, and it's her in the bed with the cat.
That's me. That's totally me. Yeah. But we got another show coming up. We've gone to a lot of shows recently. We talked about that last week. But here at the end of this week, we're going to get to see Tycho in the Caverns. I'm so excited.
I've never seen a show inside the Caverns, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, well, I'm excited for you to see it. So we've been there, but in the amphitheater part outside.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you've been to the
I
Caverns.
have been inside. I went with Andrew, who is going to be on the episode here in just a little bit, to see King Giz in there about a year and a half ago, whatever it was. It was wow, that's been a while because it was about a week before last Bonnaroo, the Bonnaroo before last. So it has been a minute. It is really cool because there's a low ceiling and really good acoustics in there. You got really good sound. You can do really cool stuff with lasers. And the band has to come through the crowd. So there's kind of like this punk rock ethos to the whole place inside the cave.
You know, our house doesn't have very good acoustics.
No, it doesn't. You can probably hear the echo now, actually.
That's how we got the house.
Now, wait a minute. There's a little bit of a story behind that because there have been multiple artists use this space as a practice space. Yeah. If you think about it.
Yes.
The guy that lived here years and years and years ago
he
before
sold
us.
the house because he said it didn't have good acoustics, and that's how we got the house.
But then we had like a folk rock band practicing here weekly at one point, like well over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I do miss those days.
I think we've told that story a bunch.
We have, but it's been a while, whatever. All right, Charlotte, we got a lot to get through in this episode. We're going to get to Andrew and Matty later. So if you don't know, they are the two guys that are now behind the big Wednesday event. They put a heck of a lot of work into it last year, and I know many of you enjoyed it. We have a lot of artists that opened up for Jason from Cherub, and they have a lot of plans already for what they're doing this coming year, and we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about some of the rumors that Charlotte and I alluded to. So if you don't know, Andrew is one of the guys that is in charge of the rumor and confirmation thread, which maybe, Charlotte, you should talk to that since you're one of the mods on Reddit.
Absolutely. I should talk about that.
Yeah.
So if you go to reddit.com/r/Bonnaroo, that's the Bonnaroo Reddit. And at the top of that, pinned at the very, very top, you can find the Bonnaroo 2025 rumors and confirmation thread. So Andrew and another person on Reddit have a combined account on there, Bonnaroo, and they're using that thread to post all the rumors and confirmations for this year.
Yeah, and I want to give them props on that because they really, really, really do their homework on that. They don't put something on there unless they feel strongly that it belongs in the category that it's going in. So there's a lot of things that they're putting there because, like, hey, this artist is touring, this is possible. But then there's things that they're putting there because they have it on good authority. Hey, this is a little bit more than just possible. And I know those guys are putting in a lot of work. I talk to Andrew pretty much every day. You know, I don't think anybody is coming out here and saying like, hey, you can look at this and know what the lineup is going to be. But I do think you can look at it and have a pretty good idea at what is realistic. I think that's fair to say.
So both of the people that run this Bonnaroo account, I mean, they have legitimate sources. They're not just randos out. They're not just... I'm going to say this in the most legitimate way. They're not some random wooks out there in the campground.
Oh, I thought we all were. What are we even doing here if that's not the case?
Hey, we're all just wooks at heart.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's why I've been going to this festival for over 10 years.
I'm about to get so mean.
Oh, no. But anyways, I wanted to say all that as a preamble to the segment that we're going to do with them here in just a little bit. Andrew does that thread. Both of them are working on the Wednesday event, and they have a lot of fun stuff to share.
But Matty is somebody different.
Yeah, Matt. Well, they're both in Atlanta. They live just like...
But he doesn't do this thread, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Matty does a lot of other things. He's with Squeak Squad. He is also a Renaissance man, and we love him. He is very, very lovable. Yes. And he's been out here confirming Daft Punk. I don't know what his deal is, but you'll hear that later. I don't know what he's going on about. All right, Charlotte. Anyways, before we get to that, we got a little bit to talk about when it comes to Totem, and we need to thank our Patreons, of course.
Of course we do.
So let's talk Totem first. I think we are getting a little closer on firming our details for the January and February events. So I can't announce specifics just yet because we're working on getting this finalized, but it is looking like we are going to be good to go for an event on Sunday, January 19th in Nashville. So stay tuned. We have something in the 5 Points in the East Nashville area that we're looking at that I'm working on getting confirmed. If you know the area, I think you're going to know the place that we're working on. I'm very happy to have our event there. We have some ties there that I will explain later once we get everything set in stone. So again, we're looking at doing that in Nashville on Sunday, January 19th.
We're going to be hot to go, not good to go.
No, Chapel Roan is not going to be there. I cannot confirm
Damn.
that. Yeah. She was great on Saturday Night Live, though. That was really cool.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, but one reason we picked that date is it will be the day before Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so it's a holiday weekend. So hopefully that kind of gives you some more time for plans if you get that Monday off as well. So it'll be that Sunday, the 19th. The next one we're working on is going to be in New York City. Totem is basically, second. We have a secondary HQ in NYC these days. We're looking at either Saturday or Sunday, February 15th or 16th. That's not totally set in stone yet. The venue is not totally set in stone, but I wanted to give you an idea of when you can expect to come hang with us if you are in the New York area. So again, we're looking at either Saturday or Sunday, February 15th or 16th. We will have more information on that as we get closer. And Charlotte, our applications are open, right?
They are. You can go to totemfnd.org to apply to be a mentor or a mentee or to apply for a scholarship.
Yeah, so those will be open for quite a while, right? For a couple months, right?
Yes, they end at the end of February.
All right. So if you are interested in being a mentor, go sign up for that. If you know somebody that is in a position where they could use our scholarship, please send them our way as well. we'll have more for you on that as we get closer. Charlotte, before we start rolling over to our interview with Matty and Andrew, let's thank our Patreons.
Okay, you ready?
Go for it.
Courtney, Casey, Christy, Charmel, Dan, a.k.a. Jums, Sarah, David and Aurora, Stringbean, Taylor, Zach and Jeremy, Amber, Andrea, JB,
Jables,
Sam, Austin, James, Chelsea, a.k.a. Hygiene Queen, Ryan, Chris, Dan, Ernst, Harris, Keith, Casey, Amanda, Aaron, Nick, Maddie, McFerg, Bruce, Kent, Randy, Eric and Ben, Evan,
Go Dodgers,
Jay, Chloe, and Sean.
Thank you, guys.
Sam, we will get you a shirt. I did notice that he bumped up to the $30 a month, so we will get him a shirt.
Yeah, we'll hook you up. Yeah, we got to make another round of those over at Green Pea Press here in Huntsville. All right, thank you, everyone. You probably know this already, but if you're starting to listen to our episodes now that rumor season is getting really going, you can find that at patreon.com/Rubus, and every cent goes to the Totem Foundation, so that gets things like supplies for our scholarship winners and stuff like that. We try to put it to very good use. Again, every cent goes to that, and it is at patreon.com/Rubus. One last thing I want to talk about before we get to that interview with Matty and Andrew. We had been talking about this for a couple of weeks, and we originally thought we were going to kind of like draft up this statement or whatever, but I kind of feel like maybe we should just kind of speak more from the heart a little bit about this kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. Me and you agreed to that, right?
Yes.
So, first of all, before I go into this short thing that we're going to do, I have to, first of all, state that what we're going to say is not on behalf of the Totem Foundation. It is not on behalf of our employers. It's on behalf of Daniel and Charla and our crew that hangs around a hippie bus at different events throughout the year and at Bonnaroo. You know by now, and if you don't, shame on you, Election Day is probably going to be the day after you listen to this. We're recording this on Sunday the 3rd. I am betting that you're probably listening to this on Monday the 4th, and Election Day is going to be coming up right after that. I don't need to tell you so many things that you have already heard in the news. You already know that you need to vote on Tuesday if you haven't by mail or by, whatever early system your state may have by now. We've been, plugging vote.org and stuff like that for a while. Right, Charlie?
Yes.
It's real important that everybody goes do that.
Yes, obviously.
Have head count that gets everybody registered at Bonnaroo and everything. So you've heard everybody's pleas to please go vote. It's not just federal elections, it's local elections. Whether it be, the president or your dog catcher, these things are important. Mm-hmm. Do you still vote for dog catcher? Is that a thing in places?
I have not a clue.
I always hear that joke, but I don't know if that's still a thing.
I don't know. I don't know. I guess it depends on where you live.
Yeah, we'll see. These things depend on, where you're at.
Depends on where you, because in some places you elect a superintendent.
Yeah. Well,
for schools.
Yeah, that's important too. Well, you joke, but that really is a really important one. School boards and stuff like that. Anyways, what we wanted to say, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. We have talked with a lot of our friends that we normally hang out with, and I wanted this to be a consensus thing before we said it on the podcast. We encourage you to go this Tuesday, if you have not already, and please go vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. It should come to no surprise to anyone that a bunch of people that hang around a hippie bus would, throw our support to someone in that way. And no matter how you may feel on this, we don't really have to repeat a lot of the things that you've heard in commercials and you've heard in speeches and everything. But I'm going to put it this way. All of us that work on this thing, whether it be this podcast or like the parties that we throw or whatever, we go to Bonnaroo because we want to get away from negativity. We love radiating positivity. Part of the code is don't be that guy. Do you see where I'm going with this? Hopefully you already do, and I don't have to spell it out for you. The person that radiates positivity on the ticket this year is pretty clear, and we encourage you to go vote for her. In fact, you have a day until Election Day, hopefully, when you're listening to this. We encourage you to call a friend, send a text to anyone that you know in any of the battleground states. Be calm, be wise, be collected. Tell them why you were making an appeal for them to vote for the positive choice in this election.
You gonna do that?
I'm talking to some Georgia voters in this episode, but I don't think I had to twist their arm about it.
Oh, okay.
But yes, we'll totally do that. Charlotte, I've been talking a lot. Is there anything that you would like to add?
So, there's a lot of stuff I want to say, but no, I think you said it all.
Did I say it all?
Yeah.
Well, in this election, obviously a woman is hopefully going to be our next president, but there are a lot of issues that affect women. So I wanted to make sure that you had the mic. If there was anything that you wanted to say, or do you feel it's all been said?
I feel like it's been said.
Okay.
I mean, I don't. At this point, there's nothing else to add. It's plainly obvious. So.
Yeah. And I will say this to the guys that listen: support the women around you. Hopefully that says it all. There are a lot of issues that involve the women in this election. It's not just that a woman's running. There's a lot of things at stake for women in this election. Support those women around you. It will mean a lot to them, and you need to be a man and do that for them. There's so much in this. There's so much that we can say. I feel that we've said it. Again, this is not on behalf of Totem. It's not on behalf of any organization. It's behalf of Daniel and Charlotte and our friends that you hear so much on this podcast, and so many of your fellow Bonnaroovians. We encourage you to get out the vote for the vice president this coming Tuesday. Make a call. Be positive. Get out there and radiate positivity for our next president of the United States if you can. Mm-hmm. Have we covered it?
Yep.
All right. Hopefully we didn't scare everybody away with that one. All right. Next up, let's go talk with Matty and Andrew about some of these rumors and then the Wednesday party. Welcome back, everyone. As you know already, we're in the thick of rumor season, and we're coming out of hibernation, as Rufus said on Twitter today. It's been kind of a short off season because it feels like we were just on the farm, but things are already starting to pick up. You've seen all the rumors on Reddit and Inforoo and everything, but we're also going to talk a little bit about what's coming up in Outeroo this year. So I've got a couple of guests that you know. One guest that was just on last week that did a fantastic job for us down from Halloween is Matty.
Hey, thank you very much for having me back.
Dude, that was a fantastic time virtually with you and Shayna and the crew down at your Wook campsite in the Florida swamp. Thank you so much for doing that. I love doing those kind of episodes, man.
We had a blast. Hula was great. I've got a ton of stories from this year that obviously were not shared on the podcast.
I heard one of them.
You heard one of them, but next year we're just going to have you there, so we're on the episode together from Halloween.
Yeah, and I hope to pick up our next guest on the way there if we can twist his arm into it. It's Andrew. You've heard him a couple months ago. Andrew is one of the guys that is in charge of the rumor and confirmation thread on Reddit, amongst many other things. He is a Renaissance man. What's been going on, Andrew?
Not much. I'm excited to see what the lineup kind of turns out as. But I'm also excited to kind of see how this Wednesday party next year is going to go, which is kind of going to be one of the topics we talked about today. So, but yeah, it's been going well.
So you boys are both in Atlanta, so I think we got to do some small talk first. How's things looking on the ground for the election? How are the Falcons doing? Stuff like that.
Well, can I start by saying Atlanta United had an elimination game last night and survived until a third game. So
yeah, United got a big win last night against Miami, so it's going to game 3. Falcons beat Cowboys today. That was great. We're now 6-3 and looking good.
I'm not going to comment on the election. I think if we're doing this from a pro Kamala standpoint, she's probably got a slightly better shot in North Carolina, but I think she's still got a shot.
As a city, the ATL is very progressive, but the rest of Georgia is a different story. We'll see how it goes. Just hoping Wednesday morning we all wake up happy.
Well, look, like I will have said in another segment on this episode, we're a bunch of people that hang around a hippie bus, so I don't think how we feel on things should be any big surprise, but we'll talk about that elsewhere. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. So we're going to talk about the Wednesday party, how it went last year and what you guys have in store for this coming year. But since so much has cropped up and we have one of the guys in charge of the confirmation thread, I think we need to talk a little bit of tea. So I think everybody should have listened to the What podcast already. They had a lot from the guys themselves, but there's some that came up that I think came up after they had already recorded. Andrew, do you want to kind of catch us up?
Yeah, so I was actually planning on kind of coagulating it. Is that the right word? Tomorrow,
Sure, why not?
Tuesday. Um, uh, I know Brad, or I shouldn't probably name names in case someone higher up listens to this, but a couple of people who work loosely with C3 in the Festverse Discord were alluding to some acts the other day. I will say that Remerd and Ryan, who's been helping out a little bit on the confirmation thread, uh, have gotten some more interesting ones recently. I'd say the most interesting one that kind of caught my attention was King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. They're in Europe like 3 or 4 weeks before Rue, but Rue would be within a week of it ending, so it would kind of nicely attach onto the end of the tour, but it is kind of a weird +1. So that's the most recent interesting one. I'd say the main thing though that we've heard from kind of this rumor stuff is that it's a good year for requested EDM artists. That's the way a certain someone phrased it. I think that realistically what that means is they looked at the festival's recommendation thread and they were able to get a majority. I shouldn't say a majority, but a good percentage of them. If I were to guess on some of those artists, it would be Tipper, Dom Dalla, and John Summit would be the three that immediately come to mind. I could also see Closey and Alice Dream. I could also see Justice, who was not on that list, but that's because one of the conditions was that it was undercard. Now, I wouldn't exactly consider like Excision an undercard act, but
Excision was mentioned and it wasn't said no to.
well, so Excision was said no to.
Yeah, we did get a no on a few things. So Excision was one, and unfortunately Tycho was one.
And I was hoping for Tycho a little bit more.
Yeah, that sucked.
But they didn't say any no to Justice. They didn't say yes either. Vampire Weekend came up alongside Gizzard. That was another one that came up in that call.
That got
Mike
strong indications of a yes on that one.
Yeah, maybe a little Vampire Weekend on the farm.
Vampire Weekend. I can't wait.
So my guess there is the festival alluded to the fact that Jam had kind of like seen its sunset period, like early to mid 2000s. Jam was kind of the genre that dominated Bonnaroo to some degree. So I think now they're trying to find more accessible kind of jam adjacent bands. And I think that Vampire Weekend and King Gizzard still attract a jam crowd without, necessarily needing just a jam crowd. It also has crossover with alternative artists and is very friendly to other
that's a good point.
more casual, accessible.
I would say jam guy myself, really wanting Fish. Also having seen Vampire Weekend and King Gizzard in Atlanta this year. They're great shows. They are jammy. They fill that void in a lot of ways. I would like a little more jam than that, but it's a great start for sure.
I want to push back on this idea just a little bit that jam is out of fashion. I know it doesn't necessarily sell a lot of tickets to what is Rue's target demographic these days, but this is all anecdotal. But I went to see Goose in Nashville about a week and a half ago, and that place was packed, and I saw such a wide range of ages. And I know that they have data that tells them like, okay, we're not selling that much with jam, but I feel like it's kind of a chicken and egg situation. Of course you're not, if you're not giving it that much of a focus, if you're just throwing us just a little bit of a bone like you did with J-Rad last year.
Yeah, I think the big thing is unless you book like a Fish level act, it has to have a disproportionate amount of jam acts in order to move tickets. So they don't want to book 2 or 3 jam acts because it's kind of the uncanny valley between throwing a bone to someone and actually selling a meaningful amount of tickets. So I think it's kind of an all or nothing type situation. Sorry, what were you saying, Matt?
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
You mentioned Fish. If they want to book Fish, I'd be happy about it.
You've mentioned that before.
Yeah, I did just go to a week. I clearly like jam rock. I spent a weekend in the woods listening to String Cheese and Bob Weird.
Look, Matt is very brave to advocate for this, up and coming band called Fish. I think they might have a shot in this industry.
They might have a future, those guys.
Maybe. There's a lot of other artists I could talk about on the rumor thread. I'd say if I were to say one thing that has not been talked about on Inforoo or by the C3 guys
Ooh.
or on the confirmation thread, there's someone on the When We Were Young lineup next year that will be on Roo's lineup next year as well. So
Top
that'll be,
half, can you tell us?
I'm
Ooh.
not going to say the artist, but that'll be the hints I will give, is there
Okay.
is someone on the When We Were Young lineup for 2025 that just dropped last week
Look,
that
I'm
will be
gonna
on the
I'm
lineup.
gonna very carefully say this. Andrew told me who it is, and I am personally very happy to have them there. I think they will be very well received.
That should drop soon. I just want a little bit. I want someone else in the know to say something, and then I'll
Yeah.
update the confirmation thread with it. So
It's a
shouldn't be
tricky
more than a
thing.
week or two, but yeah.
It might be worth prefacing too, because we were talking rumors. Yes, we hear things, but take everything with a grain of salt until the official lineup comes out. Things change. If you're getting your hopes up entirely on one band or another for a rumor, Bonnaroo is great regardless who's there. Obviously, you want the artist we love to be there, but don't like book your happiness on one name or another.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Maddie, because even the poster that we're going to get in January
Okay.
probably shouldn't even be considered like absolutely set in stone because things happen. They
Yeah.
typically do for a couple of acts every year. And even when the schedule is out, things are going to change. It's just, even at that point, still a good idea of what we're going to get. But
Yeah, artists
it's a,
have things come up. They're humans. Things occur in their lives. They have to drop part of a tour. A band I love, Rainbow Kid and Surprise, has dealt with stuff in the past, and I've had a lot of shows of theirs that I was really excited for get canceled. So I like to remind people, always remember that anything can happen, but it is always exciting to think about what could happen, what the possibilities are too.
so they may have talked about this on the What podcast, and I will have said this otherwise, but we will totally have Brad and Corey on next week. That is the plan. So I'll ask them stuff that the What didn't ask them, but they are sounding pretty confident in this year. I have heard tell that they are kind of feeling like this year might top the past 2 years. So we'll talk more with them about that next week. But before we move on to Wednesday stuff with both of you guys, you got anything else, Andrew? Is that pretty much it for now?
I want to get my thoughts together. Probably in 3, 4 weeks, we'll do a kind of mid rumor season episode, and then we'll do a final one in January. But yeah, I'd say first week of January, look for a much more organized rumor
This
episode
is
once we have
not
some root clues.
not based on any rumors here. I just want the Flaming Lips and LCD sound system back, please.
Yes, I would love
Yeah,
that.
those
I,
would be good. I'll say one more thing. I don't think Tame Impala is going to be there next year, which is my favorite
well,
artist that I know we've been waiting on.
I
So,
I can unfortunately confirm they will not be there this coming year.
right. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, there you go. I
yeah.
will say if we can't get LCD or Flaming Lips, those would be great Tame Impala compliments for whenever they can book them again. So
Oh,
just keep them
well,
in the back pocket.
Giz makes me happy. I'm extremely happy. It sounds like it's going to be the case. We don't know that for sure, but it's sounding is it fairly likely a good way to phrase it? I don't know.
So okay, the King Gizzard rumor came in a batch with Dom Dalla and John Summit. I would say compared to John Summit and Dom Dalla, I would say they're the least likely of the three. However, um, the source that we have has been generally reliable. So I would
You,
say they're fairly likely, yes. But
Yes.
I would say of those three, I would just off a gut check would say I'm the least
Now,
confident
now
in them.
wait, Andrew, I'm going to put you on the spot with this, and I'm very sorry, but when it comes to King Gizzard, here's the important question: Are you going to get in the pit with me?
Oh, I mean, if I did it for Crunkman, I'm doing it for King Giz. The question is whether I'm getting in the pit or just
Oh,
getting in the quote unquote pit.
no, listen, I'm sorry. The pit for Giz is going to be a lot more rowdy than the Krungman pits.
Oh, well, I'm sure. I will say I think King Gizzard has graduated to like a late night witch type situation now.
I hope so.
So
it would be a great late night. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
I
we'll
think
circle back around to this in like a month or two because I think we have more to learn and everything, and we're probably going to keep talking until we get ourselves or somebody else in trouble, Andrew.
yeah, I
So,
think I'm done. I
yeah,
haven't
yeah,
said anything that I don't think it'll get anyone in trouble, but
yeah. Good deal.
yeah.
Good deal.
Oh,
All right, so let's
one
move
more.
over to. Oh, go ahead,
Wait,
Matt.
wait. I have one more rumor.
Yeah.
Daft Punk is confirmed.
Daft Punk.
Daft Punk will be there.
Daft Punk will be
I'm
there.
hoping for a different electronic French duo, but we'll have to see
Yeah.
whether that pans out.
Uh,
I'm hoping. I don't really know.
I mean, this is bad. I'm just saying, big if true.
Big if true, yeah.
Right.
Daft Punk confirmed every year. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna look real smart.
Yeah. All right, guys. Speaking of these kind of things, let's move over to Wednesday programming. So we've been talking about Thursday to Sunday stuff, but a lot of what has been happening at Bonnaroo that keeps Bonnaroo weird and keeps the community alive is what we have been doing together in the group area on Wednesday. So first off, I have talked about this ever since then. I want to give you guys huge, huge, huge props. I don't think a lot of people know what a logistical nightmare it can be to put these things together. So that's kind of like the first thing I wanted to ask you about, and for you to kind of explain to everybody who may not know, how much of a hassle and nightmare was it to get all of that put together over there behind the Rubus this past year?
I would say that depends on how dramatic we want to be about it. Um, the thing I'll say is that a lot of it came together at the last minute due to uh, how do I put this nicely? So there were just general communication things with the amount of moving parts in the situation, if that makes any sense.
I can
Yeah.
make it short if you want. I can give you 3 to 5 minutes on how it all came together.
Please
Yeah,
do.
I think
Yeah,
Matt can
yeah.
honestly probably say it better.
So let me tee you up for that by bragging on you again, because like in the past when we did this as a Rubus thing, when we had like, flip turn or repeat, there were some that went on. We had to have some back and forth with their road person, management or whatever, and then talk with Bonnaroo about like security and timing and everything. But you guys decided to tackle something that was much further than that. You put on a festival within the festival. So to remind everybody what we had, there was two stages. There was the big tent in the group area, and then there was the tiny van, which I'm sure Matt will tell you about in a moment. And they were alternating acts, kind of like you have alternating acts inside Outeroo. And you had all the sound equipment and everything to deal with. But I'll let Maddie tell you about it. I just wanted to kind of like brag on you and blow smoke because you guys did an incredible job to coordinate all that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's wild the way it came together. Andrew and I have never done anything like that before. We're big fans. We were lucky though. We worked with a great group. You mentioned the tiny van. I got to give a shout out to Daniel Shapiro, LS Daniel, the tiny van. Follow him on Instagram. Outstanding. Daniel Karasek came in. He helped us book some artists. Nobody's Darlings, one of the bands that played, came through in a huge way. Sean Paisley runs sound through Atlanta, a good friend of mine. He helped provide the sound equipment this past year. A lot of that really was done through me calling in favors. We had to call Coffee County Community Center. That team over there was amazing to help us get those risers and the stage set up. And it was all done pretty much DIY. Bonnaroo gave us a space at a time and they said, go for it. And it really came together over a lot of months. Andrew and I, we had how many calls? Probably 7, 8, 9 big group ones and a bunch of other individual ones. What do you think? Is that about right, Andrew?
Yeah, I would say one-on-one is too many to count, but I would say the number of 3 or more was probably about 7 or 8. I'd also say that yeah, again, shout out to both Daniel Shapiro and Daniel Karasek. I think Mono Means One, who Daniel Karasek booked, was probably my
Oh my
second
God,
favorite
they were
artist there.
amazing.
Fantastic.
Yep.
I just you saw them this past weekend at Chop and Stop again too.
Very briefly, yeah. I had to bounce.
Okay.
I was out of there by about 4:45, but yeah,
really great. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, they're probably the best bassist I've seen in any Outeroo act was Mono Means One. In terms of well, did you have anything before we get to kind of the headliner, which was Jason?
Yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about how it came together, though. We got the big idea. We wanted to do the 2 stages, and we'll get in touch with Daniel Shapiro. Since then, he's done Chomp and Stomp this year. He brought a stage to Atlanta for the Chilean Bluegrass Festival. He also came to Halloween with my group, set up his stage. We had a Renegade with over 300 people one night for DJs going until 5:30, 6 a.m. until we got cut off by security. Really great guy, and he's traveling around the country, opening up some DIY venues. He has one out of Troy called the Troy Speakeasy, another one out of Palm Springs area, Joshua Tree area that he's opening now. He's just bought some land there and opening a new venue out there. But we came together, Daniel Karasek helped us book, and it became a lot of work coordinating 7 different acts, different artists from different states coming in together. We mentioned it earlier, getting the stages and those risers They got delivered the morning of. They got put up and they were gone after Jason Huber, a member of Cherub. Our headliner was done last year. The sound came from Atlanta. Sean Paisley, Nobody's Darlings, awesome rock band. If you guys were not there to see him last year, please check him out. Nobody's Darlings are great. I just went to their Halloween show last Thursday. They did a great job helping us get the sound there and then put on a great show themselves. But it really was a lot of different small pieces that came together. There were a lot of headaches. Maybe not everything was communicated the way I would have liked. Not going to name any names, but some people out there probably didn't let the artists that they booked know what needed to get done. And a couple artists showed up late. Thankfully, everyone that worked on it, that was really great to be open to make quick changes. We were able to shift the schedule to have one band that was going to play one stage, played the other instead, move things around. Ended up, Daniel, you came up cat low and helped us fill about a half market time as well. And we appreciate and love that.
Dude, let me tell you a quick story. I've told people this offline, but I don't think I've shared it on the podcast. So like when me and Andrew were talking, we realized that we had to kill some time. I'm like, oh, dude, my board's over here. I got a set. Let me throw something together for you to kill time, just to kind of like have something going in between shows or whatever. So I get it. You know, I've made a list and I have some stuff that I want to improv or whatever. And I get to it and I'm like, at the time, I'm thinking that Jason isn't going to be there for some time. So I'm like, I'll put on just a little sample of Doses and Mimosas just to hype everybody up. And I didn't realize he was right behind me.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I have a video of his facial reaction when you played it. It was probably one of the funniest moments of the whole.
Yeah, I talked to him later. He thought it was funny too. I'm like, oh my God, dude.
So we've mentioned a few of the acts we had last year now. Haven't yet mentioned Rain the Ragdolls, the Muckers, Gas Hound, really good friend of mine. Gas Hound also played a late night set for us Tuesday night at the small stage, which was awesome. And that's the sort of thing that we loved. I think ultimately it came down to, you talked about it, Bonnaroo wanted more community stuff. We think about Halloween, the Renegade stuff there, the community-driven music experience in the campgrounds. It's always been a part of Bonnaroo, but never maybe as big as I think a lot of people that are members of the community would like. It was awesome that they gave us that chance. You really set the groundwork for that, Daniel. What you've done the last few years, getting these shows going.
Well, let me give credit where it's due, because like the very first one of those that we ever did with Repeat years ago was pretty much a co-production along with Camp Redroo, because they had been doing stuff like that already for years. So it's kind of like this weird evolution throughout the group campgrounds from when it used to be behind that barn over there behind the Grove. They had been doing a lot of it, and we wanted to work with them to go even bigger. And, you know, a lot of their crew has kind of graduated to RV or other places these days. And it feels like this same thing that has been going on for a decade has just kind of like been a bit of a hot potato. One group takes it and hands it to the next one.
And that's exactly what I was about to get into. You know, I camped, I'm good friends with some of the Redroo leaders from the past. Maybe a couple of them are still part of that leadership there, but the Squeak Squad, my group, helped them throw a show, I think back in 2017 or 18. And what Supergroup has done many years in a row with their Sunday night party throwdown there. My group having our little party Sunday nights, Thursday night, Squeak Squad stuff. I know a lot of people in group have come through. It was kind of the natural evolution of these community things to keep growing and keep bringing together these different individuals who have their individual skill sets and say, what can we do together to make this bigger and better than ever before? And I think we accomplished that this year, and it's really exciting. I think Bonnaroo really appreciated what they saw. They have already begun talking to us. We're talking about it today because the plans are in motion for next year, and we're going to go even bigger, better, longer, louder, more lights. Later. Yeah, exactly. We're going to go a lot more next year. I think that's part of the things we want to talk about today. But a lot of what happened last year, a lot of learning moments, opportunities where we had confusion, getting a band in late, having to move things around. We're going to be more prepared this year. We're going to be much more capable. And because of that, we're going to be able to do a lot more. I will say this. If you're there on Wednesday, please come out, guys. It's a lot of work. It's a labor of love. I spent a good amount of money out of my own pocket making it happen, but I'm happy to do it because I'm just throwing a party for 100,000 of my favorite people, my best friends. I would do that.
You know, before we move on to like talking about what you got up your sleeve for next year, I do want to go back to something that you had mentioned about this being similar to something that happens at a place like Hula or Electric Forest or hell, even Burning Man. Matty, we haven't talked about this before, but you've been to Burning Man too. So, you know, a lot of basically Everything that happens at Burning Man is community oriented. It's put on by the community. And I'm going to talk about this with Brad and Corey next week because like they did a trip to my mind is blanking. What's the big one in the UK? Glastonbury.
Glastonbury.
Yeah, I totally should know that. Glastonbury. They went there, and I want to kind of learn from them. Like, hey, what did you see there that you would like to pick up and take over home to Bonnaroo? When I go to Burning Man, I see a hell of a lot that I wish that we could have back home on the farm. We talked about that on that podcast that we did from there. And to me, what you guys were able to do last year is getting within spitting distance of that because it's like a go big or go home thing where you're putting a lot of time and resources, just like one of the big camps at Burning Man. And I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it. I think that the group area is one of the biggest growth opportunity areas for Bonnaroo because there are a lot of places, these different groups, whether it be Squeak Squad, Outeroo, whoever it is, that wants to do something like this, that just needs a little bit of support from the actual org, which is Bonnaroo itself in this case. And you guys had that. And I feel like you have made the groundwork take another step last year, and you're probably going to take it a step further again next year.
So to your point there, for me, having attended a number of burns, a bunch of different festivals, the renegade things that I see at Halloween, that's what I really was trying to go for. And that's what I think, Andrew, you and I talked about that a lot. We wanted to make that big DIY community event party. I can't say enough about all the help that Andrew was last year and all that we're going to do this year. It was awesome.
I really liked that we kind of took like a festival within a festival approach to it. I think that was kind of what differentiated it from some previous festivals. I don't want to discredit Daniel or the Outeroo people either, because booking the headliner kind of makes or breaks the whole thing to some degree. And shout out to Jason from Cherub, but there were quite a many texts exchanged before that got set in motion too. So
there was some miscommunication that I remember on my birthday, May 29th, 2 weeks before Bonnaroo.
I remember that day.
I got locked down, and I had enough stress to give me heartburn for weeks leading up to that moment. And on May 29th, on my birthday, things fell into place completely. And it was just like this weight off my shoulders. Andrew and I were at the bar having a drink together. And I was like, guys.
No, yeah, we were that happy about it because we thought this whole thing was going to go up in smoke and look bad. And then on May 29th, we had two really big artists confirmed. One was obviously Jason from Cherub, and then someone else did too around that time. But it was as long as we have a good headline act, I think the rest it's still logistically complicated. I don't want to say it's not, but I think that makes the stress level go down quite a lot.
I am excited talking about having a big headline. We've already begun some work. We had a couple things in mind, reach out to some artists that I don't think are going to work out, but we have some other big ones that we're currently in communication with. One artist that has been on the Halloween lineup, been at a couple other festivals. I'm in talks with them right now. They're not a headline, but they might be our number 2, number 3. We've begun that a lot earlier this year. So hopefully I'm not on my birthday scrambling at 7 p.m. to try and get it all done next year.
Oh my God. You got Bob Weir. I can't believe it.
I wish I had Bobby.
If you have his email, send it to us.
Well, I'll see what I can do. Yeah. Bobby, come hang with us.
Oh man, Bobby would be great.
So tell us more.
Bobby is great.
What else can you tell us about what you got in store for Wednesday this coming year? Because I know you guys want to go even bigger, right?
Yeah, so I will go and say this, which is we talked to Corey for the first time. I did. I've only had one call with him so far, but essentially he wants to push the party a little bit later than normal. So the current plan is to start around when we ended last year. So start around 5 p.m. And then go potentially as late as midnight for the main acts. And then we might even go later than that with like some renegade DJs, but the core of the party is meant to essentially be around sunset and into the dark. And then if you really want to keep it going after midnight, you can kind of choose between some renegade DJ stuff and
we're definitely going to keep it after midnight. I've got a plan. So
the plan is to go after midnight. I think the official programming will be from about 5 to 12.
Yeah, it might be on the small stage, but I've got a surprise plan. Hopefully, right as the headliner ends, everybody can turn around and have their mind blown by something really cool.
Listen,
we have
I am not going to give it
Be a
away.
good
But you
surprise.
guys told me what you have in mind, and I was like, no way. You're going to make some Wook minds explode that night.
Yeah, we're gonna confuse some people. We're gonna excite some people. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Honestly,
I'm excited
look,
to see the reaction.
I'm not. I promise I'm not going to give it away. But like what you have planned for Wednesday night, I'm looking forward to just as much as some of the headliners, but for very different reasons. I'll put it that way.
It's
Well, yeah,
gonna
we're
be
not spending $1 million on our secret headliner. I'll put it that way. But
Yeah.
yeah, it should
no, we're
throw some people off, which is the goal. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We got to hush before we say too much.
sure, sure. So next year, to Andrew's point, we have been given the thumbs up, the green light to go later, to go longer. We are gonna run back the 2-stage idea again. I think that worked out really well. Daniel, I think people enjoyed it. What do you feel?
Oh,
Yeah, I
dude,
really.
yeah. So, like, oh, go ahead, Andrew. You go first.
Well, I was just gonna say I think people really liked it as well. We did have to move some stuff around, so a disproportionate amount ended up being on that main 10th stage. But I think that given our ability to kind of get some people there more than an hour or two early this year should kind of alleviate that, especially with it being later in the day and bands not having to wake up at 4 a.m. to get to Manchester from Atlanta or North Carolina.
Really
So,
nice starting a little bit later. It gives us a little more breathing room.
yep.
One thing that I got to see that I think was a big success that you guys didn't really see from your vantage point is it became a big party in the whole group area, not just those 2-stage areas, but so many people were filtering in and out of their group camps, like coming over to the Monkey Bar just a short walk away. And the whole place just instantly got a party vibe all throughout the group campgrounds. And it just kind of, what you had over there was the heart of it. People were coming in and out. And I feel like we really got something special going there for that reason, additionally.
I really loved the group that was camped next to ours, and I'm blanking on their name right now. They had set up their like general hangout area, and when the music started, they moved all their chairs and their pop-ups to the far end of their space so that they could sit in their group area and watch the shows. I've looked over one point and there's like 30 people there in camp drinking beers under shade, just like grooving up, dancing. And yeah, it was awesome to that point you're making, that people all around the place really kind of came together, and not just in the tent, but all around group camping. It was a big party.
And see, that's something I feel like you can only get in that area that you can't necessarily get in Cinderu, because in Cinderu, you go under a tent or you go to one of the big 2 stages, and that's kind of where it is. But if you do that in group, things have a different flavor that we haven't necessarily had at Rue in like 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about that too is, there are designated areas where, you might go to Where in the Woods, you might go to House Yes for a dance party, you might go to even Galactic Idiot, but I think group is a little bit more of a wild card than those, even if it's a little bit out of the way for some people. It's just because you don't know exactly what you're going to get, because it has more of that renegade flavor to it compared to some of the other areas. So
I hope we proved it enough last year that more people are willing to make the trek from Plaza 7, Plaza 4, whatever it is, and come over there to group camping. And Plaza 5, right? Group camping?
yeah, Plaza 5 is group. Yeah.
Come over to Plaza 5 at about 4 or 5 p.m. on Wednesday, 2025, Bonnaroo, and start getting weird with us.
That is where the bad bitches only are these days.
Bad bitches only. Ice Machine, Plaza 5.
You're allowed to come if you're not a bad bitch, but it's recommended you be.
It's
If you're there, you're a bad bitch. It's
well, right, yes.
There you become the bad bitch. If you
Whether you're a bad bitch or not, the second you walk up there and you start dancing that music, you're a bad bitch.
Well, I was not a bad bitch before Megan Thee Stallion, and then ever since.
No. You were already one, but you became even more so that night.
Okay, I will say that.
That was a wild night. I come over there and I'm with JB, who's been on the show, Matt, of course. Me, him, and Andrew, we found each other over at Megan, and Andrew, yeah, he had it going.
What
little ass I have was thrown back. So,
were you eating a Lunchable while you're doing it?
No, it was Cinderoo, so harder to sneak those.
Oh,
I
let me tell this
I only
story
had one
quick.
Lunchable last year, unfortunately.
No. He became a meme because like it was at the full Cherub show that was at Where in the Woods that one year. I was like, I was like feeling it and taking pictures because I wanted to remember that moment. And Andrew was like piling stuff on the Lunchable like he was like a traditional pizza maker or whatever. And I took that picture. And now it's a meme and it's a sticker and everything, and it's amazing.
It was
I have
magic.
about 3 of those stickers. Yeah.
Oh wait, Charlotte's got a lot. I can get you some more.
Next time I see you, I'll go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
did
guys,
just. I was
go ahead, Matt. Anything else?
mentioned the group next to me. It was Camp Boop the Snoot. Those guys were sitting over there partying and came over and hung out with us all weekend long. It was nice having them as our neighbors, just as much as having you guys as neighbors too.
Oh, you're too sweet. Well, we may just have to combine forces next year.
We might have to.
Ooh, okay. We'll make a Voltron out in the campgrounds, man. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. Not only for being here tonight, but for all your work last year and on this. I hope people understand what an adventure it is to make this happen. And it shows to, what Roo is, that guys like you are putting in so much blood, sweat, and tears to make something like this happen, just because you want to provide something cool for everybody else that's there. So if you guys want to thank Matt and Andrew, not only come to the Wednesday party this coming year, but go do your own thing in your corner of the campgrounds too. I would love to see way more shit like this.
I would love it if we had more of it. If it fits that Burning Man, the Alchemy, Love Burn, Halloween, Electric Forest Vibes would be awesome. And if there's more of it, maybe I have to do a little less work. I talk about blood, sweat, tears. I didn't mention earlier. I walked 27 miles that Wednesday.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Back and forth.
That's a different story that I think might be a little too long and dramatic for the podcast. But yeah, he was running around. We almost needed a golf cart that Wednesday.
We had
It
was, shout out to group camping. They gave me a number of rides, but even with those rides, I couldn't ask them to sit there for too long. So yeah, I walked a full marathon plus that day.
Goodness. Yeah. I know I came and saw you like a day or two later. It was like morning by Bonnaroo standards. It was like 12-1, something like that. And you're setting up a damn slip and slide and you have no voice. And I was just, how is this man going?
It's the magic of the farm, man. We will be bringing the water back this year. We'll try and do slip and slide again. We've got some other big things in store. Working on, I know last year, Andrew, you want to talk about this. Some people said that outside of the tent, the far stretches of the Crawford Cherub, they couldn't hear it well.
Oh yeah.
So working with Bonnaroo to upgrade the sound. They're helping provide a little more. It's going to be louder. There's going to be more bass.
It'll still have a DIY vibe to it, but yeah, I think we're going to kind of join forces so that we are kind of sharing in the equipment a little bit more. So instead of doing like a $300 rental system, it'll be like $500 or $600 rental system.
Let's throw it out there. That system is like a $6,000 rental system. I got it for $300 because I was calling in favors.
Okay, yeah, fair.
You can't get that for $300 anywhere else unless you have a great friend and a great band in Atlanta that's willing to help out.
I don't think that needs to be edited, but a market rate would be quite high.
Well, about $300 out of my pocket to get it there, which was a steal for what it was.
So I want to review with what Matty said for what we can expect for the party this coming year. I heard it's going to be louder and longer
and later,
harder and later,
harder,
and hopefully laser.
Oh,
hopefully. We'll have to see about the laser part, but
there will be lasers. I can't promise we'll have like a full, what stage level lasers by any means, but I'm going to make sure we have some lasers. I've already budgeted for that. It'll look good. If we get to play post sunset, we're going to enjoy the nighttime. We're going to get weird with it.
Hell yeah.
We'll have to talk to the FAA and some other Bonnaroo lighting people about.
Yeah, I actually might have an in, and I don't know if I've told you this yet, Andrew. When I was meeting at Halloween, I met some artists that were on the Halloween lineup, talking to them about things. Also met somebody that was helping run lights for one of the stages of Halloween. Loved our Renegade, loved the vibe. They do want to be in for Bonnaroo and help out as well next year. So we might have somebody with a true light board helping with that, which could be a lot of fun.
That's the goal. Yeah. I think that's what I want to get to. So
yeah.
Amazing.
So
well,
that's
guys, thank you so much for this tonight. Like I said, thank you for your work with this. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We got to catch up and do this again before we get there in June, because I know a lot will develop between now and then. Trust me, I know, and you guys know from experience now as well.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a podcast about this again before the actual.
Yeah, once we get the lineup set and we can start dropping names. We've given a few hints here today. Actually, Andrew and I this past week went to a show and we saw a band we really liked. We're trying to book as well, but once we get it all figured out and we have our own little lineup for 6 to 9 hours of music on Wednesday. We're gonna hopefully get back here with you, Daniel, and talk about that in some more detail.
Sounds
Probably
like
closer to 6. I don't want to oversell it, but yeah, that's a good. I'm excited. I think it'll be better than last year, and I think last year was a high bar. So
I love how you guys are like being the good cop and bad cop for this whole situation. Like Maddie's
mean-
overselling it, Andrew's underselling it.
we're a good yin and yang, I think. So
I'm drinking wine. I've got a little buzz. I can promise lasers.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I'll see you boys around on the Discord. And hey, let's do another Braves game next summer.
Actually,
yes, sir.
we should talk about, we've discussed this. I know Totem was a part of it last year.
Oh, yeah.
Looking to collaborate on bringing Totem, maybe bring in artists from somewhere else? And it's something you discussed to us before.
You know it. So, like, that will be something that we will probably talk with our scholarship winners for next year on, because that is a perfect thing for them to get their feet wet, is to work with you guys to make that happen. We had some of our scholarship recipients introduce some of the bands and give the quick pitch for Totem and everything like that. I think that's a perfect fit.
Yeah, it was super helpful last year. I know you'd even talked about maybe looking to bring artists from somewhere too. I'd love to collaborate and make that really something special and support.
As far as artists go, the plan is here in a few years, once we get our footing and, get everything like totally set in stone, is we want to bring in some artists internationally. And our first goal is to bring in some artists from Haiti. And I think that would be a fantastic way to make that happen.
Trying to give you a good segue in there for the Totem stuff before you go.
Yeah. Me and Charlotte will have talked to Tia and all that. We got some events coming up and everything. Maddie, we got to do one in Atlanta one of these days where you can help us out.
I've got
we still haven't had an Atlanta Totem event.
Yeah, maybe we should plan that out. You guys can help.
I've got breweries lined up for you whenever you want to do it.
Let's do it. I know Pontoon's been a friend to Bonnaroo. There's many others. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. And happy election day, I guess. So have a drink and scream your primal rage if you need to.
2 days.
I know. All right. Night, guys. Thanks so much.
Love you all. Have a great night.
Okay, thanks so much to Matty and Andrew for joining us.
Yeah, we got to go party with them again soon. Do you think you would come down to Halloween with everybody?
Okay, so Halloween.
Oh, yeah, we were going to come back to this. What do you think?
Back to that. So I'm sold on Halloween.
Really?
Now. Yes.
You're in?
I think I'm sold on Halloween because
Okay.
I saw just post after post after post of people I knew at Halloween.
Yeah.
And I think what sold me on it was Drew Morgan and his wife Andy went to Halloween and
With their kid.
with their child, and he's like one-ish or so, and there's somebody that I feel like we're like on a same level with, you know, that's like our age, and that's what sold me on it. I think.
Okay, you're in.
And it's not just like straight like 20-year-old wooks, you know.
Well,
so I think
they're
that
probably
sold
there
me
too.
on it. Yeah. Well, and then seeing so many people that we knew, like
Shayna,
Andrea, Delaney, Chelsea was there. Just so many people.
All right. Well, it sounds like we're going to have Camp Eat, Cheese, and Sin down at Hula, perhaps. Right. Well, Andrew, you heard that. You might have to run down with me. And Maddie, you heard that. So me and Charlotte, we're going to be there with you next year. Oh, my God. I can't wait. I'm so excited now that you said all that. Okay. Now, we're going to do one last segment. I believe we have some picks for this episode, and Charlotte's going to take it away for the majority. It sounds like she has a lot.
I have so many picks. Like, I've been saving them up because we haven't been doing picks.
Let's do a lightning round, so to speak, because we've gone long in this episode already, and plus me and you are about to eat dinner.
Okay. You want me to check the pizza first, or?
No, I'm not even editing that. No, let's go. Let's go.
Okay.
We'll get through this.
So, Daniel was gone most of October. Gone down to Florida because the
Clipper,
because of his launch, whatever, and then the hurricanes happened. It was a whole big ass thing in October. So, anyways, I got to watch a lot of movies. So I watched this Pete Davidson movie that came out back in like 2022 or something. It was Pete Davidson and Kaylee Cuoco. I think it's her name.
I don't quite know either.
Anyways, the girl from that show that nobody really likes but gets a lot of attention.
The Big Bang Theory?
Yeah, that show.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another conversation.
Yeah,
anyway.
Anyways, Meet Cute was the name of the movie.
Yeah.
And it only had like a 5.7 rating on IMDb. Y'all,
Yes.
I loved that movie.
Really?
I fell in love with that movie. So on the surface level of the movie, and I won't give anything away, I won't spoil it, but on the surface level of the movie, it's like a movie about a silly little like time traveling device. On the deep level of the movie, it's a movie about a woman with mental health issues.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Okay. That's
Like,
on my watch list.
I loved it. Okay, so I also watched another Pete Davidson movie,
I'm sensing the theme here.
Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. And like the cover that it showed on like Netflix or whatever was just Pete Davidson and then a bunch of people in the background. Look, I'm just going to spoil this one. Pete Davidson was in that movie for like 5 minutes. No. I mean, if you into like really stupid horror, maybe, but I would give it like a 3 out of 10. No, like I'd give it like a 2 out of 10.
Now, can we talk about this one next? Because I watched this certain
Yes.
trilogy with you over the past week or so.
We're going to talk about these 3.
Yeah.
So Daniel and I watched this trilogy like backwards, kind of. So Maxine,
Yes.
we watched Maxine, and I didn't know it was a trilogy when we watched Maxine. Did you know that?
I knew of it, but I didn't know a lot.
I did not know that. I did not know that till we went to see Rainbow Kitten Surprise, and my friend Amanda was like, "Oh yeah, they also made," and I was like, "What?"
Now, Andrea, our friend who was on our Discord, she had been hyping that up because I
Yes.
remember her talking a lot about it when it came out in theaters.
Yes. Well, Maxine was great. I loved it. And then we watched X, and then we watched Pearl.
Kind of in Star Wars order here.
So, what was your favorite?
Of the 3, Maxine was my favorite because I loved the 80s vibes. That was really fun. And I feel like it was kind of a more involving thriller, but all 3 were pretty good.
So, Pearl was my favorite.
That one was the freakiest of the 3, I'll be honest. that one got
So they're
wild.
all like horror movies, and they're all like bloody, like stabby horror movies. Like I wouldn't say. Depends on your level of grotesque. I mean, it wasn't grotesque to me, but I grew up like with my mom and my grandma being like, "That's not gory enough."
Yeah, your grandma especially.
Yeah, but I really liked Pearl a lot. Like it was really good.
What else you got?
Okay, so for music, I've been really into this artist, Sack Top. And I'd heard of him, but I had never listened to him before.
I see you like Zach's a lot.
That's just a coincidence. Sack Top is a country artist, and he's not bro country. He's got a very, very, very 90s sound to him. So definitely check out Sack Top. And I looked him up, and he's playing like a lot of places in Tennessee, so I don't know that we'll get him at Bonnaroo, but also he's not very well known, so I don't know. You know, sometimes if an artist is not popular enough, the radius clause doesn't. Like, I don't know how that works.
I plan on asking them about that next week because I feel like that is weirdly defined. We'll see.
I think it varies. But Sack Top, it's like an older, more of like an 80s, 90s sound. Not like old school like country, but very 90s, like a
Way Down Yonder on the Chattahoochee?
like a late 80s to like a 1997 sound.
I got you.
It's very good. So Sack Top, T-O-P. So did anyone else catch Chappell Roan's new song on Saturday Night Live last night? Are we going to talk about that?
Yeah, because I was on the couch with you watching it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I felt like that had a very Dolly vibe.
I don't think you've ever heard a Dolly Parton song in your damn life.
Well, the sound and the way they had the
Again,
stage set up. Anyway,
name a Dolly Parton song besides Jolene.
all of them. 9 to 5.
Besides 9 to 5,
Yeah,
Jolene.
keep going. Let's hear your point.
You know I'm just messing with
I know.
you.
There was a
Somebody-
skit like that's funny.
somebody-
There was a skit about that kind of thing on SNL last night.
Somebody told me that I'm mean to Daniel on the podcast, but I promise y'all I'm just messing with
Please
him.
help me. Somebody please help.
No, stop.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
No. But yeah, that was great. So her next album, is it just going to have that one song, or is it going to be is she going full country or what? That's
That'd be
the
pretty
question.
cool.
Yeah, that is the question, because I loved that song. That was amazing. But on that same note, somebody out there, please help me. Recommend me a female country artist that is actually lively and has upbeat music. Because I've been deep into the Spotify. I mean, I've been like deep Spotify. I feel like and this just me personally, I feel like all of the modern, like whether it's like modern like pop country or whether it's like indie country or alt country or whatever, I feel like so many modern female country artists, their music is so draggy.
Really? Who would you say is draggy?
Everybody.
Oh, well.
Everybody is draggy. Like everyone that I try to listen to is just so very, it's like everybody's trying to be Lana Del Rey.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying.
It's so very,
Yeah, all right.
drinking my whiskey and he don't bring me no flowers.
You want something more along the lines of like Reba doing Fancy.
No.
She's being mean again.
Shut up. I'm talking about whatever happened to I'm going to slash his tires.
Carrie Underwood?
No, we don't. No Carrie Underwood, but because she went all like, she went a little, But whatever happened to that kind of music? Do we not do that anymore?
I don't know. I'm not a music producer.
I mean, does that not sell anymore? Like
that's a good question.
I'm seriously asking because all the songs, there was some, it'll pop up on my TikTok or whatever. And I'll be like, oh, that sounds cool. Let me go check this out. Let me go check this person out or whatever. And I'll go to Spotify and their whole album literally will just be like, da 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 da, in the garden. And I'm like, no, I'm talking about the
hit Charlotte up with your recommendations in the Discord.
Like I'm talking about I'm gonna throw a book at my mother-in-law's head and
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on that one.
I roller skated to the Piggly Wiggly one day and stuff like that.
This sounds all very specific for some reason. I'm starting to wonder.
That's literally I don't know. I got an ADHD brain. It pops in there. So yes, please.
You're asking for picks.
I'm talking like some Dixie Chicks, Goodbye Earl kind of stuff.
Okay.
That's who I have in mind. When I'm picturing this, that's who I have in mind. So, and some Sin Wagon. Even when the Dixie Chicks, the Chicks. When the Chicks. When it first came out that they were coming to Bonnaroo, the very first thing I heard from anybody, Mitchell.
Yeah.
Oh, I can finally hear Sin Wagon.
He said that.
Yes. I was like, bestie, yes. So, yes, please hit me up with your recommendations.
So, at this point, I feel it's a good time to plug this thing that Charlotte is working on. If you want to hear much more... I totally
forgot. I wasn't even going to say anything.
If you want to hear much more of this kind of thing that she was just talking about, Charlotte is about to launch... I guess we have tea to share and news to drop. Charlotte is launching a spinoff to this podcast. Plans to.
Side Quest with Charlotte. And I actually have my first guest tomorrow. I'm recording my first episode tomorrow, and I will have a very special guest on. It is going to be award-winning author Lizette Monroe. And Lizette and I have been friends for as long as I can remember. And
longer than you've known me.
Yeah, we recently reconnected, and she is just an amazing, amazing person. So I can't wait to talk with her. And it's basically going to be a podcast about being a child-free woman over 40 and why your life doesn't have to end at 40.
All right. So I feel like it will still be within the Rue sphere because obviously you were always within that, but it's going to venture just a little further away, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be off topic, Rue.
Look for that to drop in the next week or two. How often are you going to do it?
Probably like once a month.
Once a month?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good. All right. So, and that will be on a separate feed. We talked about that. We were like, did we want it to be bonus episodes on this?
Separate.
It'll be a separate thing. Will you ever have me on? Or do we do that on this?
No, it's a girly thing.
Oh, okay. Well, I see. All right. Well, we're going to do one for the boys at some point. Probably not.
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
I think that's called the What Podcast.
Oh.
I'm teasing.
Oh my God.
I'm teasing.
All right. I got just two really quick picks. I have been trying to expand my psych pop and psych rock, whatever you want to call it, library, I guess. And one band that Brooklyn actually got me into a long time ago that has popped back up into my Spotify feed is this band called Pink Skies. It is a little bit like Tame, but a little bit more chill. Go check them out. I'm not even going to try to describe it, but I love their sound. And I have an in general kind of pick. Me and you did something really cool about a week or two ago. We saw an anniversary screening of Back to the Future 2 on the day on the calendar that Marty goes to 2015 in that movie.
Cool, yeah.
And obviously I loved the Back to the Future trilogy. But what I'm going to recommend is something that you might not have considered. Your local theater is going to be doing screenings of old movies that you know and love. Go do that sometime over the Christmas season. That was
so cool, yeah.
I have done that twice in the past couple of months. I saw a screening of Twister, the original one, the one from the 90s, at an Alamo Draft House while I was traveling for work. And I just had a blast seeing a movie that, is just kind of ingrained in your brain like that on the big screen, where you're able to see things that you might not have noticed before and are just in a dark room with other people enjoying one of your favorite movies. I never really considered doing that, but now that I have a couple of times, yeah, it's totally worth to go drop 20 or 30 bucks on a movie that you may already have on Blu-ray or something. The whole experience is amazing. So your local theater, whether it be an AMC with a chain or something that's locally owned, they're probably doing some kind of Fathom Events type thing. I totally recommend doing it. It's amazing. Take your significant other, take a friend, take a part of the family. Go do that sometime in the upcoming Thanksgiving and Christmas season. It's amazing.
Yep.
That was so fun.
That was awesome.
I literally saw props and little details in Back to the Future 2 I'd never seen. And
right?
I've seen that movie throughout my lifetime over 100 times. I couldn't believe it. Charlotte, that is plenty for this week.
Yeah.
We had a great talk with those guys. Me and you went through a lot. We had news to drop in this week. We had our, our plug for the vice president. I hope that goes well. So please go vote Tuesday if you have not already. It is super important. It is going to make a big difference. And like I said, boys, I'm serious. Gentlemen, do it on behalf of the ladies in your household. Please go vote for the vice president. It's going to make a big deal for them, and they're going to love you for it, I promise. And hey, if you are in a situation where you're feeling pressured to vote one way or another, once you get in the ballot box, that choice is yours and nobody else's. Nobody has to know who you're voting for. So please, in any context, please go do it this Tuesday. Go vote, please. And we're going to be having a drink and screaming into the void with you on Tuesday night.
Exactly.
We'll see how it goes. So even on that night, get out there and radiate positivity. We'll see you next week with Brad and Corey. See you guys.